Hi, I'm Chandran. I grew up in the restaurant business. I was born in China, and I came here at a very early age. And you can hear my background. The Passionistas have done a podcast on me, and because I was a girl in my generation, we were thought of as of no use. So my father sold my birth papers. And because of that, I had no identity. I couldn't come to America with my mom. So I didn't come with her until I was about 8. She left when I was 4 years old. And between 4 years old and 8 years old, it was a very unhappy time because I was first lived with her friend who was very good to me. But like all the Chinese women of that era, after World War II, in Hong Kong, we had to escape from China to Hong Kong because the communists was coming over. Everybody wanted to get out there and to have an opportunity. So when this older man from the US came and looked for a bride, she took that opportunity. And so my parents had to scramble to get somebody to look after me. And so this family with like 6 kids, the oldest was my age at that time. I think I was probably 6, and I lived with them. And unfortunately, they were not very nice to me. They took me because they knew my parents would send money to take care of me. So I was like a maid to this family. Even though I was a child myself, I had to mop the floor and, do the laundry. And my only salvation was being like a street urchin. I would go out and, Hong Kong is fascinating. You have these funerals, parades where you have professional wailers and the hurdy-gurdy man, a lot of entertainment. So that sort of kept me going. But I was always hungry, and I slept on a plank on the floor near the door. And often I would feel rats going up and down my body. So I was very fortunate at age 8 because my mom was hallucinating because she left me and she was so worried about me that they had to get me to America. So they concocted a story that I was an orphan, that my parents had drowned in a junk boat accident in the typhoon. So I was taken to immigration, and they started asking me all kinds of questions. And naturally, when they asked about my mom, I would start crying. So they didn't get anywhere with me. And one of the ladies was very kind and said, "Don't ask her any more questions." So that was it. And I was able to come. And I came, and we lived in Massachusetts, Fall River. My parents had a restaurant. So the year was 1956. I was very surprised and shocked to see it was a dinky place with maybe 3 tables. They were barely eking a living, both my parents. Unfortunately, my father, I never saw him before until that time. And he had me when he was older because he had to go back to China. And that's when I was conceived after World War II. He and I never developed a good relationship. It was my mom. But anyways, my brother, he's 17 years older than me. He was working for the most successful restaurant, but he came back and they opened a new restaurant around the corner, and it became quite successful. And we serve American Chinese restaurant. And American Chinese, that was the restaurant. And in those days, we didn't have fast food. Everything was prepared from scratch. So it was very delicious. Of course, the chow mein and chop suey, which we were known for, was so different that in growing up in Hong Kong, and I never had that. So it was only really that type of chow mein chop suey was only prevalent to that part of the United States. So then I came out to UCLA for my college, and I realized coming here that the food was a lot more authentic, and there was no such thing as chow mein chop suey, what we were serving. And so, I graduated, and I met my husband at UCLA. He's from Sri Lanka. And against my family's wishes, I married him. We're going to be married 45 years now in next month. Yeah, and then I have two wonderful children, and my daughter is the founder, creator of Tea Drops, who's one of the sponsors of the show. So even though I had a very sad beginning, my life is wonderful at this point. And my interest has always been in food. I have tried to be a vegan. I've had my struggles because, meat is so prevalent in the Chinese tradition, but I'm slowly getting there. And I think it's much more healthy for you. And of course, I love making marmalade. I have won the international silver in a contest.
Gonna bring that up.
Yeah, in England, who really know their marmalade. It's a worldwide competition with over 3,000 entries from worldwide. So I feel very privileged to have won the silver. Anyway, right now, I have so many interests. I'm a gardener. I love roses, especially the older ones.
You've had your rose garden for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like blossomed. It's in all these different places.
And it was featured in the Malibu magazine. It was selected. So I was very honored. But, with the drought, it's been very difficult. I'm obsessed with roses. I'm obsessed with oranges, citrus. And I'm writing right now my memoirs. And so I have a lot of interest. And I mean, I think if you stop being interested in things, that's when you stop living. And my daughter always tells me, Mom, you have such a childlike, zest for living and so much interest. And that's what keeps me going.